Am I the antagonist for asking my mom to take the train? My mom, who is 69 years old, lived in San Francisco during the 1970s, New York City in the 1980s, and Los Angeles in the 1990s. However, after spending 20 years consuming conservative news and residing in Orange County and Desert Hot Springs, she now firmly believes that every city considered liberal is too unsafe for her to travel to. I live in Los Angeles, so if I want to see my mom, I have to endure a 2-3 hour drive each way and stay in a hotel. She's willing to stay at my house if I pick her up and bring her back or if someone else drives her, but she refuses to drive here herself or use the bus or train, even if she has a ride to and from the stations. I cannot stay with her because she lives with my stepdad who abused our family for many years, and we are no longer in contact. As the main provider for my entire family, I financially support her, my aunt, and my brother, who became physically and mentally disabled due to my stepdad's abuse. I cannot afford to spend $500 on gas, a hotel, and multiple meals every time I want to see my mom. I have calmly explained this situation to her numerous times and pleaded for her to consider taking the Amtrak to visit me, a mode of transportation I have taken many times and find completely safe. However, she claims she is too afraid of being attacked by a homeless drug addict. She knows that my brother will drop her off at the nearby train station and accompany her until the train arrives, and I will be waiting for her as soon as the doors open at the LA Union Station. Unfortunately, this does not change her mind. She also insists that she cannot drive such a long distance due to the fear of encountering carjackers and claims that she cannot afford the cost of gas. I even offered to cover her gas expenses and reminded her that I make the drive frequently, but she remains unwilling to consider it. I have reached my limit, and I informed her that if she wants to see me during the holiday season, she needs to come to me because I cannot afford a hotel or to take her and my brother out to eat multiple times. Currently, my husband and I are saving for fertility clinic services, while also resuming student loan payments. Her immediate response was a definitive no, but she welcomed me to visit her anytime. Since this conversation, she has been sending me messages highlighting the difference in our financial situations, expressing her constant fear for her safety in the world, mentioning how much my stepdad misses me, and conveying her sadness over my refusal to come see her. I owe a great deal to my mom. She kept me alive, taught me how to read, and was an amazing mom before she married my stepfather. She carries trauma from her own childhood abuse and the mistreatment she endured from both her husbands. However, I believe that the influence of conservative news has played a significant role in her reluctance to come see me. Am I wrong for not simply overcoming these challenges and visiting her anyway, considering she is my mom and deserves to have her wishes respected? You are not in the wrong here. It is completely understandable that you cannot afford the expenses associated with traveling to see your mom regularly. You have tried to find compromises, such as offering to pay for her gas or suggesting safer modes of transportation, but she refuses to budge. It is important to prioritize your financial stability, especially when you have other responsibilities, such as supporting your disabled brother and saving for fertility treatments. It is not fair for your mother to guilt-trip you and make you feel bad about your financial situation. You have made efforts to maintain the relationship by suggesting alternative ways to see each other, but she has rejected those options. It seems that her fear of liberal cities stems from misinformation and fear-mongering caused by conservative news. Ultimately, it is up to your mother to make the effort to see you if she wants to maintain the relationship. You have done your part by offering reasonable solutions, and it is not your responsibility to always accommodate her demands. Am I the antagonist for not telling my boyfriend my family is sending me money? So, me, 19-year-old female, and my boyfriend, 21-year-old male, met last year and we've been dating for almost a year. The subject of money hasn't come up, except for the fact that I work and he doesn't. My parents and grandma are each paying half of my tuition, while his parents cover his through his basketball scholarship and monthly allowance, which is barely enough for necessities. Both my parents and grandma send me a significant amount of money each month, and with the additional income from my job, I have a decent amount. This month, one of my best friends had her wedding, and as I knew most of the bridesmaids were in college, I offered to cover some expenses. This meant picking up extra shifts at work, but it ended up being a lot of fun with my friends. Yesterday, my boyfriend asked if I wanted to go to a restaurant. Knowing that it was almost the end of the month, I knew I would have to pay for it. So, I replied, "Sure, I will have to ask my dad to send me next month's money a little early." He gave me a sharp look and asked what I meant. That's when I realized I hadn't really told him about the money. I chuckled a bit and explained that my family provides me with monthly financial support, so I don't have to work as much. He became very upset and accused me of being selfish. He claimed it was difficult for him to manage with the money his parents sent, so I should have offered to share mine. I was taken aback and asked him why I should give him my money. I also pointed out that I already pay for most of the things we do together. In response, he got angry and exclaimed that it isn't my money, so I shouldn't care. I argued back, stating that it is indeed my money, as it comes from my family. If he wants extra money, he should find a job. He stormed off and hasn't spoken to me since. I know it wasn't fair for me to say that, considering how busy he is with basketball, studying, and a social life. I feel guilty now, but I don't believe I'm in the wrong. I shouldn't have to give him money just because he's my boyfriend. Am I the asshole? You are not obligated to give your boyfriend money just because he is in a tough financial situation. It is your family's money, and you have the right to use it as you wish. Additionally, it seems like your boyfriend may have been using you for your financial support, as evidenced by his reaction when you told him you wouldn't give him any money. Breaking up with him was the right decision, as his behavior was immature and manipulative. Am I the antagonist for refusing to help my classmates? I'm a 17-year-old male currently in my second year of a diploma course, which is equivalent to year 13 or senior year for Americans. This year, I have decided not to help my classmates with their coursework, unlike last year. Last year, I willingly spent extra hours assisting some of my classmates who were struggling with the content or stressed in general. It was my pleasure to offer help whenever I had the energy. However, it soon became an everyday expectation that I would help everyone with their work, to the extent that teachers would ask me to assist another student while I was still in the middle of my own tasks. At that time, I considered the students I was helping to be close friends, as they sought my advice on personal matters. We hung out regularly, and they even referred to me as their friend within our group. However, over the summer, I experienced a severe depressive episode. I tried reaching out to my friends, but they always claimed to be too busy to talk. I also noticed instances where I asked to meet up, only to discover later that they were hanging out together without including me. The only time anyone messaged me during the summer was to ask for help with our summer task. Just before the start of this school term, one of the students I helped significantly last year messaged me about college-specific events. This was one of my so-called friends who didn't bother responding to any of my messages over the summer. In response, I sarcastically replied, "Oh, so I finally exist to people again." My classmate then stated that we were never really close friends and couldn't understand why I couldn't just answer a simple question. This upset me because before the summer, I devoted a lot of my energy to helping them with personal issues and even helped them pass their coursework. Over the summer, I realized that unless I'm helping my classmates academically, they don't care about me at all. So I made the decision this year to only assist those who genuinely need help and appreciate me as a person. In one of our theory lessons, a group of students asked to see my notes on the class topics, which we were all supposed to note down during class. These individuals weren't particularly kind to me last year, and often made fun of my autistic behaviors. I declined their request and told them to get a grip and do their own work. Considering that our field of study is highly competitive and requires strong personal organization skills, I didn't think my response was too rude. Instead, I saw it as offering direction and advice if they want to succeed. However, the more I refuse to help my classmates, the more they label me as an asshole, dick, and rude. At this point, I feel like I'm being treated as another teacher or an unpaid tutor, which I find quite ironic. So am I the asshole? You were generous enough to help your classmates extensively last year, going beyond your duties as a classmate and friend. However, during the summer when you needed support, they were unavailable and dismissive towards you. Feeling unappreciated and taken for granted is understandable given the circumstances. It is your prerogative to set boundaries and prioritize your own well-being. You shouldn't be expected to be available for everyone's needs, especially if they do not reciprocate the same support when you need it. It is not your responsibility to carry your classmates academically, and they should be able to manage their own work. Refusing to help the classmates who have previously mocked you and shown disregard for your well-being is completely justified. It is not rude to assert your own boundaries and prioritize yourself. However, it may be worth considering how you communicate your decision to not help. Being assertive yet respectful in your interactions will help you navigate the situation more smoothly. Nonetheless, it is important to remember that you are not obligated to help others at the expense of your own mental health or self-esteem. Am I the antagonist for speaking sternly to someone's unattended child that was pointing a laser near my 1-year-old's eyes? The other day, my wife and I took our 1-year-old son with us to a local pub with a beer garden to enjoy the fall weather. Inside the bar, there's a kid who appears to be around 10, 12 years old, sitting by himself at a table, playing with what seems to be a laser level. He starts getting careless and the laser starts shining on us. My wife politely asks him to stop. He sighs, rolls his eyes, but eventually stops. 10 minutes later, we're sitting outside, and I notice the green laser hitting the wall of the patio, right near my son's eye level in the stroller. I look inside and see the kid pointing it directly at us. Irritated, I go inside and firmly tell the kid, "You're pointing the laser near my baby's eyes. You need to stop it now." I wasn't polite, but I wanted him to understand the danger. He responds, a bit flustered, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know," and I walk away. At that point, the kid's mom, who was sitting about 10 feet away at the bar with her friends, says, Sir, it wasn't on purpose. I choose not to engage and just leave." About 20 minutes later, the mom comes out and confronts me about my tone and also targets my wife, who she recognizes as a local teacher. She says that we should know better than to talk to someone else's child that way, calls me a brute for intimidating a child, not my intention, and suggests I should have spoken to her as the parent instead, since it's odd for a child to be at a bar alone. I explained that we had already spoken to him politely, and I had no idea she was his mom because he was sitting alone. She continues to yell about how I had no right to behave that way and that everyone in the bar was appalled. I point out that she didn't know we had warned him or that he was pointing the laser at people. However, I apologize if I made her son feel scared or threatened. This isn't enough, and she keeps insisting that I had no right to talk or treat someone else's child that way until I finally yell back. So, am I wrong for speaking sternly to an unsupervised child who was engaging in dangerous behavior? Or is she correct that there's no situation in which one can speak firmly to someone else's child about their unsafe actions? You were completely justified in addressing the child's dangerous behavior. The child was repeatedly projecting the laser near your son's eyes, which could have caused harm. You initially asked him to stop politely, and when that didn't work, you escalated your tone to ensure he understood the severity of his actions. The child's mother should have been supervising him and addressing his behavior herself. It's important to prioritize the safety of your child, and in this situation, you did just that. The mother overreacted by yelling at you and making assumptions without knowing the full context. Am I the antagonist for telling my mom to stop invading my privacy? I, a 23-year-old female, currently live alone and am in my final year of college. Recently, my parents installed a Ring doorbell system, granting both of them access to it. At first, I didn't mind the idea, but then I began to see the negative consequences. My mom has always been excessively protective of not only me but my siblings as well, for reasons I don't quite understand. She now uses the Ring doorbell to monitor when I leave and return home. Going a step further, she even calls me whenever she observes that I'm leaving, bombarding me with questions about my destination, who I'll be with, and what I'll be doing. This intrusion on my privacy has become unbearable, especially since I can't even go to school without facing her constant inquiries. As I am focused on completing my last year of college, I am extremely busy with my studies. Nevertheless, she insists on calling me every day just to inquire about my activities. If I fail to pick up her calls, she throws a fit. After expressing my frustration and asking her to stop monitoring the Ring doorbell and calling me so incessantly, she became upset and claimed that I had hurt her feelings. According to her, as a mother, it is only right for her to behave this way. Throughout my life, she has always halted me from engaging in various activities due to perceived dangers of kidnapping or harm. Consequently, I refrain from going out excessively. Now that she realizes my life revolves mostly around school and work, rather than partying, she criticizes me for being sheltered and advises me to enjoy my life by going out and having fun. However, I don't drink, smoke, or attend parties. I usually enjoy spending time at home, though occasionally I do socialize with friends or classmates. I rarely lie to my parents. I am accountable, and I am already very cautious about my surroundings when I am out and about. The most rebellious thing I have ever done is attend a concert alone, a fact I concealed from my parents by claiming I was going with a coworker. When I revealed my plans to my mother, she nearly disowned me and braced herself for me getting kidnapped. Recently, a high school student came to our door, presumably selling something, and my mother became fixated on the idea that he was a potential robber. She even suggested that next time, I should answer the door armed with a baseball bat to confront him, which I vehemently reject. In truth, I didn't even open the door for him in the first place. In any case, I confronted my mom about her excessive curiosity in my life, and she accused me of hurting her feelings. She believes that my annoyance with her actions doesn't give me the right to ask her to stop. While I acknowledge that I'm fortunate to have caring parents, I find it extremely difficult to engage in even the simplest activities without her incessant nagging, whether it's due to being too reckless or too boring. When we try to address her behavior, she becomes defensive and perceives it as a disrespectful act against her. In light of this situation, I'm left wondering if I am the one in the wrong for demanding my mother to respect my privacy. No, you are not the asshole for telling your mom to stop invading your privacy. It is understandable that you feel annoyed and frustrated with her constant tracking and questioning of your every movement. As a 23-year-old adult, you have the right to live your life without constant surveillance and interference from your parents. It is important for parents to trust their children and allow them to make their own decisions and learn from their own experiences. While your mom may have good intentions, her overprotective behavior is crossing the line and is hindering your independence and personal growth. You have a right to set boundaries and assert your need for privacy. It might be helpful to have an open and honest conversation with your mom about your feelings and establish clear boundaries regarding her use of the Ring doorbell and constant checking on you. Am I the antagonist if I ask for the $15K I gave my mom back? Honestly, as the title says, my entire life my mom wasn't ever really there. She got pregnant at 13 and dropped me off at my grandma's house, who raised me until I was 6. My grandma became too sick to raise me, so I bounced around from home to home until I was a teenager and lived with my aunt, who was very mean to me and my siblings. At 17, my aunt kicked me out and I went to live with my mom, stepdad, and younger brother. My mom and I felt more like sisters, to be honest, and my stepdad and I clashed often, so I went to stay with my boyfriend for weeks at a time. In 2020, I graduated high school and turned 18. I started spending time with my mom, taking her out often, getting our nails done every 2 weeks, and doing things together that we never had the chance to do before. Then, later that year, 2020, after my 18th birthday, I came into some money and put a down payment on my own home through a land contract. My mom, stepdad, and younger brother all moved in with me and my fiancé, boyfriend at the time. About a year later, September 2021, the man I was buying my home from decided to put another home up for sale and offered my mom a deal on it. She needed to make a $15,000 down payment and pay $750 each month, also through a rent-to-own agreement. She asked me to help her, so I put down the entire $15,000, even though my significant other advised against it. The agreement was that my stepdad would help remodel my home in exchange for me helping my mom. However, he only laid flooring and painted my bedroom. That's all he did. They were late on payments multiple times, and I even had to pay their taxes and insurance on the home last year. My mom called me during my honeymoon to ask me to pay it, which I did, $1,200 in September 2022. I have also helped her buy school clothes, shoes, and supplies for my siblings, provided her with food, and loaned her money. I've even bought her things. Fast forward to now, October 2023, she hasn't paid her payment and is behind again. She's talking about leaving the home, even though breaking the contract means she loses the down payment, as stated in the contract. She claimed that if she couldn't pay it by the end of the week, they would move in with a friend. It's Wednesday night, by the way. I would also like to add that she has enough money to go to dirt track races every weekend and buy another car every few months, as well as random parts for the car, those not even necessary, among other things. I've been discussing this issue with my husband, and he agrees that I should tell her she has to repay me, even if it's in monthly installments. Would this make me a bad person? Am I wrong here? It does not seem like you would be an asshole for wanting your mother to pay you back for the down payment on her home and for the financial support you have provided her. You went out of your way to help her, even against the advice of your significant other, and it is fair for you to ask for repayment, especially if she is able to spend money on other things. It is important to communicate your expectations clearly and calmly to your mother, explaining how her actions have made you feel and what you would like to see moving forward. However, it is also important to consider the dynamics and repercussions of cutting off contact with your mother, as this can have long-lasting effects on your relationship and family dynamics. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.